Before a big blessing shows up, life usually gets quiet in a strange way. Not peaceful quiet, but focused quiet. The kind where distractions fall off, people reveal who they really are, and pressure turns up like the volume on your grind. This isn't punishment, this is preparation. Nothing meaningful arrives randomly. Every upgrade comes with a test, and if you're in a season where things feel heavy, lonely, or uncertain, this message is for you. Because right before a breakthrough, there are signs, patterns, moments that feel uncomfortable but are actually alignment in motion. Let's talk about the 5 things you'll see right before a big blessing arrives and why they're proof you're closer than you think. Right before a blessing shows up, comfort quietly packs its bags. Not all at once, not dramatic, just enough for you to notice that what used to feel normal now feels restrictive. The routine that once gave you peace starts feeling like a cage. The same conversations don't hit the same. The same environment doesn't feed your spirit anymore. And at first, you might think something's wrong with you. But nothing is wrong. This is growth knocking. And it doesn't knock softly. That uncomfortable pressure you feel isn't confusion, it's expansion. It's life asking you if you're ready to carry more. Every level comes with weight, and before you're trusted with more responsibility, more opportunity, more visibility, you're strengthened under pressure. Growth never feels gentle. It stretches you before it lifts you. It demands discipline before it delivers rewards. Think about how the body works. Athletes don't grow stronger during rest alone. Real strength comes after stress, after resistance, after muscle fibers are pushed to the point of tearing. Science backs this up. Muscle hypertrophy happens when fibers break down under heavy load and rebuild stronger than before. No resistance, no growth. Life follows the same rule. If there's no pressure on you, there's no reason for you to evolve. That's why right before a blessing, life feels heavier. Your responsibilities increase, your patience gets tested, your schedule gets tighter. You start realizing that shortcuts don't work anymore. What used to slide now requires precision. You feel a pull to wake up earlier, to focus longer, to cut distractions without being told. Nobody's forcing you. Something inside you just knows. That inner pressure is your future calling you forward. A lot of people misread this season. They think that discomfort means they off track, so they try to escape it. They numb it with distractions, bad habits, or comfort zones that no longer fit. But comfort at the wrong time is dangerous. It delays what's meant for you. Pressure isn't here to break you. It's here to build capacity. Look at people who've really built something from the ground up. Entrepreneurs, creators, leaders, almost all of them describe the same season before they break through. Long nights, empty rooms, little recognition, doubt creeping in when results were slow. Not because they were failing, but because they were sharpening. The grind got lonely because their vision outgrew their surroundings. The work got harder because the stakes got higher. That season tests your commitment. Are you serious enough to stay focused when nobody's clapping? Are you disciplined enough to keep showing up when progress isn't visible? Are you patient enough to trust the process when the pressure feels unfair? Those questions don't get asked when life is easy. They only show up when you're being prepared for something bigger. Pressure also exposes habits. When life tightens up, excuses don't work anymore. You can't blame circumstances forever. You start seeing clearly where you've been inconsistent, where you've been wasting time, where you've been settling. That clarity can be uncomfortable, but it's powerful. Because once you see the truth, you can adjust. And adjustment is how growth happens. This is where discipline becomes personal, not because someone told you to change, but because you feel the need to rise. You stop doing things just to feel busy and start doing things that actually move you forward. You protect your energy. You choose progress over pleasure. You understand that temporary discomfort is a fair price for long-term freedom. Pressure also builds resilience. When you survive tough seasons, easy times don't soften you. You move with confidence because you know what you've already endured. That's why blessings don't come first, strength does. If the blessing came before the pressure, it will crush you. So life trains you quietly, day by day, rep by rep, until you're solid enough to carry what's coming. And the wild part is, while it feels heavy, this season is actually a sign of alignment. You wouldn't feel this pressure if you weren't capable of more. You wouldn't be uncomfortable if you weren't outgrowing your old self. The tension you feel is the gap between who you've been and who you're becoming. That gap is uncomfortable, but it's necessary. A lot of people quit right here, not because they can't handle the pressure, but because they don't recognize it. They mistake preparation for punishment, but those who stay focused, those who lean into the discomfort instead of running from it, they come out different, sharper, stronger, clearer. If you're feeling the squeeze right now, don't rush to escape it. Sit with it, study it, ask yourself what it's trying to teach you. Pressure reveals priorities. It shows you what really matters and what doesn't. It forces you to grow up in ways comfort never could. This season is not meant to be permanent. Pressure is temporary, but the strength it builds lasts. And once you've been shaped by it, the blessing won't overwhelm you. You'll meet it prepared, grounded, and ready to move with purpose. Right before something meaningful enters your life, the room starts emptying out. Not in a loud way, not with arguments or dramatic endings, just quiet, distance. Calls stop coming, messages slow down, people you used to hear from every day become strangers without saying a word. And at first it can mess with your head. You start replaying conversations, wondering what you did wrong, questioning your worth. But this isn't rejection, this is separation with purpose. When your life is about to elevate, everything that can't rise with you naturally falls away. Not because those people are bad, and not because you're better than anyone else, but because alignment changes. What once made sense no longer fits. The version of you that entertains certain conversations, habits, and environments doesn't exist anymore. And not everyone is comfortable with your growth, especially when it forces them to look at their own stagnation. Support getting quiet is one of the most misunderstood signs of progress. People expect more applause the closer they get to a breakthrough, but in reality, it often gets lonelier. When you stop living for approval and start moving with intention, the crowd thins out. Some people were only around for convenience, access, or familiarity. When your priorities shift, those connections lose their fuel. Elevation requires space, real space, mental space, emotional space, time. Focus. You cannot carry everyone into a future they're not prepared to respect. Some people like to owe you because you were predictable, accessible, always available. Growth disrupts that. Growth says no more often. Growth chooses discipline over comfort, and not everyone can handle that version of you. This isn't bitterness, it's clarity. Bitterness holds grudges, clarity just keeps moving. When the mission gets serious, distractions naturally exit. You don't have to announce it. You don't have to explain yourself. Life does the filtering for you. The moment your energy shifts, misaligned people feel it. Some leave because they can't benefit anymore. Others leave because your focus reminds them of what they're avoiding in themselves. There's psychology behind this too. Studies on high performance show that during critical growth phases, people naturally reduce their social circles. Not out of ego, but out of necessity. When focus increases, tolerance for noise decreases. Time becomes more valuable. Energy becomes protected. You realize you can't build something meaningful while entertaining everything and everyone. Think about any real progress you've made in life. It probably happened in a quieter season. Less hanging out, less explaining, more working, more reflecting, more self-discipline. That's not accidental. Solitude sharpens vision. Silence strengthens purpose. When you're alone with your goals, you hear them clearer. What hurts most in this season is not the distance itself, but the lack of explanation. People don't tell you why they left. They don't give closure. They just disappear. And that can feel disrespectful. But sometimes the absence is the explanation. They were never meant to go where you're going, and that's okay. Trying to drag people along out of loyalty will slow you down. Loyalty is powerful, but misplaced loyalty is expensive. You don't owe access to everyone who knew the old version of you. Growth requires you to honor who you're becoming, not who people expect you to stay. This season teaches you self-trust. When the crowd disappears, you're forced to stand on your own beliefs. You learn how to validate yourself. You stop needing constant reassurance. You realize that real confidence is built when nobody's watching. That's how inner strength forms. And the truth is, the people meant for your next chapter don't need convincing. They'll meet you where you are. They'll respect your grind. They won't compete with your vision. They won't drain your energy. They'll add to it. But they can't show up until there's space for them. So when people fall off, don't chase them. Don't over-explain. Don't shrink yourself to stay connected. Let the separation happen. It's not taking something away from you. It's making room. The blessing you're walking toward demands focus, clarity, and alignment. It requires a version of you that's not constantly distracted by who's missing. What's meant to stay will stay. What's meant to leave will leave. And what's coming needs your full attention. Right before some big shifts in your life, the noise starts fading. The confusion that once clouded your decisions begins to clear. Not because every answer suddenly appears, but because you finally understand yourself. You know what you want. More importantly, you know what you will no longer tolerate. Your standards rise quietly. Your patience for wasted time, wasted energy, and empty conversations drops fast. You stop arguing with yourself. You stop second guessing every move. The vision gets sharper, and with that clarity comes a different kind of confidence. This clarity doesn't arrive loud or dramatic. It shows up in small decisions. You start saying no without guilt. You stop explaining your goals to people who don't need to understand them. You realize that not every opportunity is meant for you, and not every door is worth opening. That awareness alone saves you years. Confusion drains energy. Direction multiplies it. Right before a blessing, motivation takes a backseat and discipline takes the wheel. You no longer rely on how you feel to decide how you move. You show up even when you're tired. You work even when the excitement fades. You stop waiting for the perfect moment and start honoring the process. Early mornings become normal. Quiet planning becomes routine. Consistent effort becomes your language. This is where people get it twisted. They think clarity feels exciting all the time. It doesn't. It feels grounded. It feels calm. It feels like knowing exactly what needs to be done and doing it without announcement. No applause, no hype. Just solid work stacked day after day. When your vision sharpens, distractions lose their power. You're no longer pulled in 10 different directions. You don't chase every trend. You don't compare your path to everyone else's highlight reel. You move at your own pace with full awareness of where you're headed. That focus is rare, and that's why it's valuable. Look at people who've mastered their craft. Artists, athletes, leaders. Almost all of them talk about a moment before their breakthrough where something clicked. They stopped caring about being seen and started caring about being sharp. They became obsessed with mastery, not applause. Practice mattered more than praise. Precision mattered more than popularity. There's data behind this too. Studies on high performance show that individuals who focus on deliberate practice and long-term skill development outperform those driven mainly by external validation. Chasing approval creates inconsistency. Chasing excellence creates momentum. When your goal shifts from being noticed to being effective, everything changes. Its clarity is dangerous in the best way. Dangerous to distractions, dangerous to excuses, dangerous to anything that doesn't align with your purpose. You stop negotiating with your weaker habits. You stop romanticizing struggle and start organizing your life around progress. Your vision also sharpens your identity. You stop trying to be everything to everyone. You understand your lane and stay in it. That doesn't mean you think small. It means you think focused, and focused thinking builds empires. You'll notice how your conversations change. You talk less about what you want to do and more about what you're doing. You listen more. You observe more. You move more strategically. You don't need to rush because you trust your direction. This is also when impatience disappears, not because you don't want results, but because you understand timing. You realize that rushing ruins things that are meant to last. So you let the process shape you. You allow yourself to grow into the responsibility that's coming. Clarity doesn't mean the road gets easier. It means the road gets clearer. You still face obstacles. You still get tired, but you don't get lost. You don't panic at setbacks because you know where you're going. Every challenge becomes feedback, not failure. When your vision is clear, self-doubt loses its grip. Not completely, but enough. You stop questioning your worth. You stop looking for permission. You move like someone who understands that their path is valid, even if it's not understood. This is the phase where habits lock in. You build routines that support your future, not your comfort. You invest in your mind. You protect your energy. You make decisions that don't make sense to everyone, but make sense to your mission. And that's how you know you're close. When clarity replaces chaos, when discipline replaces motivation, when intention replaces impulse, when your focus becomes unshakable and your standards non-negotiable. A sharpened vision isn't just about seeing what you want. It's about becoming the kind of person who can handle it. And when that happens, the blessing doesn't overwhelm you. It meets you at the level you've already grown into. Right before things start breaking in your favor, life starts checking your character. Not once, not casually, but back to back. One situation rolls into another. Just when you think you passed one test, another shows up wearing a different face. Old temptations you thought you outgrew come back around. Doubts you already defeated start whispering again. People test your patience, situations test your integrity, and moments appear that challenge your self-control when nobody would ever know if you slip. This is not coincidence. This is assessment. When a blessing is close, life doesn't ask if you want it, it asks if you're ready to carry it. And readiness has nothing to do with talent. It has everything to do with discipline. Anyone can shine for a moment. Not everyone can stay solid when pressure, access, and opportunity collide. These tests are filters. They separate who wants the outcome from who can handle the responsibility, because success doesn't just amplify your strengths. It amplifies your weaknesses too. If your discipline is shaky, success will expose it. If your ego is fragile, success will break it. So before the door opens, life checks the foundation. You'll notice the timing of these tests feels intentional. The distraction shows up when you're focused. The shortcut appears when you're tired. The temptation comes when progress feels slow. That's not bad luck. That's a measure of alignment. Life wants to know if you'll fold under pressure or stand on principle. Old habits don't resurface because you're going backwards. They resurface because you're being asked to choose differently at a higher level. The same temptation hits different when there's more on the line. The question becomes simple but heavy. Will you trade long-term vision for short-term comfort? There's real data behind this. Behavioral studies on delayed gratification show that people who can resist immediate rewards for future gain consistently outperform those who chase quick wins. They build more sustainable success. They maintain stability under pressure. That's exactly what these tests are measuring. Not how fast you move, but how well you control yourself when you could easily lose focus. Patience becomes a weapon in this season. You're tested when things don't move as fast as you expected, when effort doesn't immediately turn into results, when people doubt you openly or quietly, and how you respond matters. Do you react emotionally or do you stay intentional? Do you complain or do you adjust? Integrity gets tested in private. Nobody's watching. Nobody will blame you. That's where real character shows up. It's easy to do right when there's an audience. It's different when there's opportunity to cut corners with no consequences in sight. But shortcuts always collect interest later. Life is checking if you understand that. Self-control becomes the difference between almost and accomplished, the ability to say no when yes feels easier, the ability to stay disciplined when emotions are loud, the ability to walk away from things that look good but don't align with your future. This season can feel exhausting because the tests don't space themselves out, they stack. You feel like you're constantly being challenged. But stacking tests builds stamina. They train you to operate under pressure without losing your values. That's how leaders are formed, not in comfort, but in consistency. You start realizing that success isn't about avoiding tests. It's about passing them without changing who you are. Power doesn't corrupt, it reveals. So before life hands you power, it checks what you'll do with it. You might feel like you're being tempted to go backwards, but you're not. You're being asked to stand firm. Every time you choose discipline over impulse, you strengthen your foundation. Every time you choose vision over emotion, you build trust with yourself, and self-trust is currency at the next level. This is also where your circle matters. When tests show up, the wrong voices get louder. People will encourage shortcuts. They'll tell you to relax your standards. They'll say you're doing too much. But that's not advice, that's projection. Stay locked in. The test isn't about perfection, it's about patterns. Life isn't asking if you'll never slip. It's asking if your default response is growth or excuse, progress or impulse, focus or distraction. When you keep choosing right, even when it's uncomfortable, you're sending a signal. You're showing that you can be trusted with more, that you won't self-destruct when things start going your way, that you understand the weight of opportunity. And that's when things shift, not because the tests stop, but because you passed them at a higher level. The pressure doesn't break you, it sharpens you. And when the blessing arrives, it doesn't overwhelm you. You're already operating like someone who deserves it. Right before a blessing shows up in your life, something quiet but powerful starts happening inside you. It's not loud. There's no announcement, no moment where everything suddenly feels perfect. It's internal. You start noticing that you don't react the way you used to. Things that once triggered you don't hold the same power. Situations that would have pulled you into chaos now get met with calm. Not because you're numb, but because you're grounded. You move different. slower, but more intentional. You're not rushing to prove anything anymore. You don't feel the need to explain your grind, your choices, or your direction. You understand that people who need an explanation aren't meant to be part of the process anyway. Silence becomes strength. Focus becomes your language. This is the moment where you start becoming who you once prayed to be. And it doesn't feel like a miracle. It feels like work paying off internally before it pays off externally. And you realize that the real transformation wasn't about the money, the opportunity, or the recognition.